So today we're going to be looking at the longest substring without repeating characters question on Leetcode, also known as question number 3, perhaps. Given a string s, find the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. So we're going to be doing this edge cases. If length of s is equal to 0 or s is none, then we're going to return 0. Because if the length of the string is 0 or s is none, then there's nothing to look at, right? So we're just going to return 0 there. And here we're going to variables, initialize some variables. So unique here, we're going to a dictionary that stores character and index. We're going to have a longest variable called longest equals 0. Its length of the longest substring. Left is equal to 0. This is the left bound of our sliding window. Since we're going to be using the sliding window technique, since I didn't mention that actually. So let's see. We are now going to iterate through every index of the string. So for I in range of the length of s, we're going to do this. We're going to have the current character. Our current character is equal to si. This is just the current character that we're looking at. Current character that we are looking at. If unique dot get car is not none. So basically this means we have seen this character before. We're going to do left equals max of left and unique car plus 1. We need to do plus 1 because this value is where we last saw the character, and since we don't want to include that character again, we got a plus 1. We also need to take the max between left and this value because we could potentially see a character again that is further left, but since this is a sliding window, the left pointer should only be continuously moving forward, and especially since we don't want to see repeating characters again. If we move it back toward the left, that means we're going to be adding characters that we've seen already, and that wouldn't make sense. So we want to make sure we keep the largest of these two values here. Here we're going to do unique car equals I. So this handles for two cases actually. Case 1 is where we have not seen this character before. And so this would mean we add car. We add this tuple actually. Well, yeah, we can think of it as a tuple. Car and I. So that's what we add. And case 2 is we have seen this character before, where we just update the current tuple with key car with value I. So now that means I will always be the most recent value where we saw this current character, whatever character we're currently looking at, and that will make sure we always have the largest value when using this if statement. So from here we have longest equals max between longest and I minus left plus 1. So the reason why you want the max between longest and this value is obviously because you want the longest, and I is how we're iterating through the string. So I would go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for example 1, right? And left is obviously left bound. So when we go here and we get to this part, we're like, oh, we've seen A before and we want to cut this part out. So left is now equal to this value, which was stored in the dictionary, but +1. So it becomes just BCA. And same thing as we move on. And so the reason why we do I minus left is because of the window, but we also need to do +1. So for example, when we get to this point, we're like, oh, this is the longest that we've seen. However, since Python is zero-based indexing, if you calculate it 0, 1, 2, so I would be a value of 2, A would be at index 0. So 2 minus 0, that's only 2. But however, we have 3 characters here, right? So the easiest way for me to remember having this +1 condition is just, if you have one of these cases, you always have to +1. So that's how I remember that +1. Obviously, it depends on the question, but if you're doing something with length, with characters, or something that's zero-based indexed, you probably have to add it. I mean, it just depends on the question, of course. And here we're going to return longest. And well, that will obviously return the longest value that we've seen. And so if we were to submit this, we have this time. Honestly, the time doesn't really matter. I think I had the same code for this submission. These are just to make sure like I actually do it right. But I'm pretty sure I had the same code here and it ran this. So that's fine, right? So yeah, that's longest substring without repeating characters.